What's your internet white whale? Something you've been searching for years to find with no luck. There was a YouTube comedy series, I think it was called Network, that had these two guys named Michael. I remember it being out right around 2006 to 2008, and it was really funny, similar humor to The Office. But searching through YouTube and Google comes up with nothing because the only thing I remember are Network and Michael. I know I've seen the guys in other stuff, but they're that guys and their IMDb pages don't have anything close to what I'm looking for. A comedy sketch video where Clark Kent is an idiot and everyone just pretends that they don't know he's Superman because they feel bad for him. A children's horror stories book that is not the scary stories to tell in the dark. It is illustrated. Has a short version of Sleepy Hollow, a poem that goes: as I was walking up the stairs I met a man who wasn't there. He wasn't there again today. Oh, how I wish he'd go away. There is also a large 2-page picture of a deal in the firelight view with a dead man's hand and spilled ink and quill. It's hardcover and kind of big. Just want to bring to light our tip off Matong. It's a subreddit dedicated to remembering books, shows, videos, songs that you just escapes your memory. Always nice to see how ecstatic all the ARPs are when their mysteries are solved. I thought I recalled a subreddit for that, but I just couldn't remember the name. Thanks. There's a music video I saw when I lived in Japan back in 2005. No idea who the artist band is, nor the song, not even a few lyrics to work with. Scene: boyfriend and girlfriend are shopping during the Christmas season. Girlfriend likes this wicker snowman. Boyfriend's face is of despair and disgust. Later, they are on a hill and it starts to snow. She is dancing and twirling happily, wanders into the street as she is doing so, and bam, hit by a car. We see boyfriend going to visit her in the hospital carrying aforementioned ugly butt wicker snowman. I laughed my butt off and everybody in the room got mad at me. I need to show this video to like-minded friends. It's literally a whale video. A group of people rehabbed a seal and gathered on a beach to tearfully release it back into the wild, only for a killer whale to eat it immediately in a truly dramatic fashion. I have wasted many hours trying to find it. There's a Pearls Before Swine comic about this. My best friend from Czech Republic. I lived in Melbourne with him 11 years ago, maybe 12. We went through a lot together and shortly after our mutual friend died in our room he went back to Czech and I have never seen him since. Tom, if you see this contact me. Mike. The name of a movie I saw at a sleepover when I was probably 8 or 9. For some reason my friend's mom kept renting this movie for her completely unaware it was full of sex and nudity. Basically it was a thriller about this guy who was either English or American, I can't remember which, who was visiting France, I think, and for whatever reason stopped at this one big house and stayed with these strangers for a bit. One of the people in the house was a hot chick and so he banged her and then a day or two later went on his way. However, every road he went on away from the house brought him back to the house. And every time he got back to the house the people wouldn't remember him. This happened over and over. It was basically like a dramatic European version of Groundhog Day. I've tried searching for this movie basically since I started using the internet and I have no idea what it was called. I'm starting to think I dreamed the whole thing. It was a late 90s PC game set in a house with different anthropomorphic animals. Each would play a different board game with you and make a comment about each play. I believe the rabbit would get annoyed and accuse you of cheating at checkers. Oh, also you could decorate cakes in the kitchen. A kids movie from the 80s that had a little dark-haired girl who gets kidnapped by a queen or witch or something. I remember the queen witch having this glass container of red jewel ball things, kind of like a sand timer. When the balls all fell out, something bad happened. I've been searching for years for this movie. I've asked Reddit. No luck. I will die never remembering what it was. A cartoon anime from the 70s. All I remember are fairies chanting Barbie. I don't know, but I would absolutely love it if someone found it out based just on this information. A cartoon, possibly Looney Tunes, that has a huge amount of buttons that's pressed by the protagonist. That's about all I can remember. Just a crap ton of buttons. If I happen by it, my life will be forever complete. If I never see it again, it will just be a button memory that will continue to slowly dissolve, and that's okay too. There's a very dark children's book series that I read when I was a kid. I can't remember much except for the illustrations. I think it was all stuffed animals, but there were good ones and very bad ones. The main character was a teddy bear that reminded me of Winnie the Pooh, but with loose stitches and some stuffing maybe poking out. The main bad guy I think was a marionette that was very creepy. The illustrations were always very dark and the stories always had a sense of sadness and the futility of good trying to overcome evil. I checked out several of these from my middle school library, but I just can't remember anything else about the series, much less the title. Search corduroy bear on Google. I have been searching for a special episode of Recess for years. It was some kind of special episode that had a song similar or that exact song won as the loneliest number, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks at like 5 years old. I remember I was completely changed as a human, and I realized it then and there, which has followed me for these 14-15 years. I read this one particular book when I was younger and I can't find it for the life of me. It's about a girl whose mother is dying of cancer or some disease. So the mother and father are gonna take a ship to California from England. Girl is sent to live with her aunt in Yorkshire or some crap. Girl sneaks out and goes to the docks and smuggles herself into the ship. Turns out it is not the ship her parents are on and the crew discovers her. Ship wrecks and she washes up on shore of a jungle. That's all I can remember. The program on Windows that you could shoot up and bomb your desktop screen as much as you wanted. What was that called and where do I find it again? Desktop toys. It also had the guy who would kick monitors and stuff. 100% serious, my long lost brother. I have no siblings, and he would be quite a bit older than me, but my mom had to give him up for adoption when she was younger. I always thought it would be awesome to find him for her, and if he's a multi-billionaire, that'd be nice too. Try adoption.arbasa.org. My mom found her entire family using their resources. It's worth a try. A few months before Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows book was released, my friend's girlfriend had an editor's copy in her laptop. Said a relative was part of the publishing team and sent it to her. It was similar to the book version, with minor differences. The one main difference I remember is the destruction of the Ravenclaw Horcrux. Harry, Ron, and Hermione were in the scene, and Hermione ended up with a basilisk wound. I don't remember if it was the fang Harry used to destroy Tom's diary or Nagini, but she was in bad shape. I don't remember anymore, but I was disappointed when I bought the book and it was different. The version I read included editor's notes and error corrections, and being that it was similar to the published version, I suspect it was an early draft. I would love to be able to read it again or ask Rowling about it. This isn't my white whale, but rather boyfriend's. Since I met him, he's been talking about this cartoon he once saw on TV as a child about these golems that come to life. He says it was some Jewish cartoon about a little kid and a bunch of golems. Can't remember anything else. He's been trying to find it for years. Sometimes he wonders if he just dreamed it. Late to this, but probably about 10 years ago now. When Yahoo Messenger and Yahoo Chats were big, I used to hang out in the teens only room. It was a haven for social outcasts and shy, weird teens. We all had hard Xerox names and stuff. Cringe. I got really close to a girl though. We talk for hours online and on phone during free nights and weekends time. We started dating for a while. Eventually she met someone in real life though, and I was happy for her. We stayed friends and talked every day still. After a while though, I guess her boyfriend got jealous and made her stop talking. We'd trade occasional secret emails every few months to stay in touch, but eventually he figured that out too. It's been years and years now. But Brittany from Michigan. With your curly red hair. Super pale skin with freckles upon freckles everywhere. Who did your makeup in crazy pinks and blues? If you're out there, I still think of you sometimes, and I hope life is treating you okay. Hilariously, I know exactly the type of situation you are referring to. I spent most of 2001 to 2003 in the Yahoo Teen Graveyard Goth chat. As a teen, people somehow wind up lodged in your psyche. I remember so many random facts about people that ebbed and flowed through my mind and my heart, and then disappeared completely from the fragile web we had connecting us. Younger me tried day in and day out to find the Olsen twins nude. I thought I had hit the jackpot. This was before I learned about Photoshop. All those hours I've spent was a lie. This post was edited due to privacy concerns. The original post had been edited 4 times to reflect appreciation for gilding, give assistance to others, and to show that my white whale had been found. The white whale itself was a friend from childhood. We had drifted apart and lost contact for years. This post allowed us to reconnect. I also have a friend like this. Met him at summer camp. We were best friends and promised to keep in touch but never gave each other our email addresses. Being 8 years old, the problem is, his name is so incredibly common that it's almost impossible to wade through all the people. I recently just found my white whale, and since I've seen no one hint at it, I'll leave it here in case it helps someone anyways. The Pirates of Dark Water. Change your life. Some bizarre book I read when I was a kid. I vaguely remember being in a library, perhaps on one of my few visits to see my dad. I remember a weird scene where some girl was in church and had a cross made of blood on her pants and someone said Jesus done marked it on the seat of her pants, but I haven't ever been able to figure out if it is a real book or some weird dream I had. It was probably 12 plus years ago. I've searched when it pops in my head but never found it. There was this incredibly NSW shock factor music video set to Foreigner's I Wanna Know What Love Is. Starts out a blonde guy lip syncing as the song plays the video, going about his daily life, buying groceries, picking out veggies, finding the perfect cucumber, gets home, starts undressing, song approaching the chorus, then he shoves the dang cucumber up his butt as the song crescendos. I wanna know what love is. Out comes the cucumber. I want you to show me. He sucks the crap off the cucumber. I wanna feel what love is. He shoots in his hand. I know you can show me. And then rubs it all over himself before collapsing in exhaustion. My friend has a habit of sending me disgusting videos. I can never quite get him back. This video is my holy grail of gross out, and I can't find any trace of it. Help me read it. I need you. I'm happy to say I can't help you at all with this. I just created an account for this. This may be what I've been waiting for since I began lurking years and years ago. Here's what I'm looking for. It's a stop motion animation that involves a platform that looks like a chessboard floating in a grey void. In the very middle of the chessboard is a treasure chest. At each corner of the chessboard and in the middle along each side is an identical figurine. He looks sort of like Jack Skellington, although his face isn't as featured and he's wearing a nondescript trench coat. They may have a name tag on the back with a barcode, although my mind might have added that in the years since I've seen it. Anyway, the scene starts out with no motion sound for a very long time. I remember almost changing the channel. But then eventually, one of the figures looks left, looks right, then boldly walks towards the chest in the middle. This upsets the balance on the board and the chest starts sliding. All the other figures scramble wildly to re-establish equilibrium. But this one jackass keeps going after the chest. The chest is sliding around too as the board yaws and rolls. Eventually there are casualties as some figures slide off the end of the board and down into the void. Some of the other figures begin to start chasing the chest as well, as opposed to simply trying to maintain the balance, and it becomes a sort of battle to get the chest. This goes on for a fairly short time, considering how long I waited for something to happen. And in the end, there's one victor who's managed to get all the other figures off the board. The problem now is that the board is balanced on a single axis with the victor at one end of the board and the chest at the other. If he steps towards the chest, the board will tip and the chest will fall off. So he's stuck where he is. It's haunted me for a very long time. It seems like I've yet to find a better example of human nature, and why it's important for us to work with people rather than against them. This'll get buried, but it's a story worth getting off my chest. My white whale is a girl from AUS. I'm Canadian. We met on a fantasy RP chatroom and were assigned characters in different houses, and over the next year we fell in love. It was 95% in game that it happened, but in private messages and on MSN, it seemed like more than that. Everyone else in the channel knew who we were and what was happening and thought it was among the most adorable things they'd ever seen. I never met her when voice chat was a thing. She only ever sent one picture. 2. One day, she disappeared. I spoke with other people on the channel who were close to her who mentioned that she had problems at home. Whatever they were, we never spoke again. This all happened around 13-14 years ago. At least 8 years back, I sent a message out to as many Samantha Andersons as I could find on Facebook in Australia, asking if any had ever gone by Lily, but it was something of a lost cause. I know that in all likelihood it could very well have been a 50-year-old dude, but I have a modicum of faith that it wasn't the case. I haven't been searching of late, but I still wonder. Upvote for hope of making it to top of the thread, if she was real. And on a fantasy RPG chat room I feel confident guessing that she's a redditor. An archive of my YUGO fanfiction I wrote at age 13 that I deleted in shame 2 years later. Every day I don't find it, I'm both slightly disappointed and greatly relieved. Back when I was a youngin', about 1998 or so, The Lord of the Flies was on TV and I was watching it. A song came on, apparently during a commercial because that movie doesn't have a dang soundtrack. That was the most beautiful sound. To this day I remember the tune because it was just like instant silken orgasm. But of course it had no lyrics and it was on a commercial and I've never been able to find it ever again, even on the whole internet. You're going to have to record your humming doing the tune. It's the only way. Ro might actually have an opportunity to get an answer to this. Here goes. A little over 2 years ago I believe I was drugged by my father with something. On the 4th day I was visiting his house. I'm nearly 30 now. I saw a packet that said Relaxavit or Relaxavit. I looked at it briefly and not long after I found out a whole bunch of things he had been doing. Drugging was the least of my worries. It's nearly in court again. He sacked his lawyer on day 1 of the last attempts at a trial. And although I have no admissible evidence, I've been trying since 2013 to find out if Relaxavit actually exists and whether if it does, it could be strong enough to knock a mother out so well she can't wake up to those she is trained to wake up to. If anyone can work out if it exists, it's Reddit. There was an advertisement on Hulu that allowed you to type in your name, then a whole bunch of people singing would say your name in the middle of the commercial. For some reason I remember it being associated with Burger King. Sold. Thank you, you excited source and others who suggested future cop LAPD. Despite multiple Reddit threads on the issue, I've never been able to find this game. I played it when I was a kid. I'm guessing on PS2. Between 1998 to 2000, it was a strategy game, top down, fully 3D, and had tower defense elements. You were basically on a map and you built independent vehicles from your base that would wander around and defend your bases or kill whatever enemy thing it ran into. The idea was to kill the other enemy's base. Sometimes there was a boss and you had to build like anti-aircraft vehicles and stuff. That was one of my first ventures into a lifelong love of tower defense and strategy games, and I want to find it so badly. A Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial in French featuring a gopher that my sister and I saw on television one time when we were in Montreal. I check for it once every 6 months. Search for Pub Quebec PFK. They have most of them pists with the year. A movie where a grandmother type nanny moves in with a family and she happens to be an android. She can pour tea out of her pinky finger, that's all I remember. The name of a console game I played when I was a kid, early 90s. I remember it being like an early version of Spore. You start off as a fish, and as you progress you evolve and gain abilities or something. No combination of search terms has brought me closer to this long lost friend. Sad. There's this one Lion King animation video and it has one lion hanging on the cliff as Mufasa, I think, pushes him off. The lion tumbles down and tumbles back up. It's really poorly animated and it's not in 3D. Has like 200k views. IDK trying to find. A clip of Rodney Dangerfield on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, where he tells Jay that a threesome for him is jacking off with both hands. Bluegrass version of Crazy Train. I heard it on the university station and laughed my butt off at the yodely beginning. I can't find the same version. It's been 10 years. Okay, there is a song called PMN, and the only verse I can remember is, picking my nose, seeing how the green stuff in me grows, pulling it out, sticking it in. I sure have fun, but I ain't got friends. It's a song that belongs on Dr. Demento, but even he couldn't help me. This video game I used to play with my dad when I was a kid. It was for N64. It was similar to Twisted Metal in that you drove combat vehicles but just not Twisted Metal. It had a very nauseating feel to it but was still fun as heck. I can remember one of the vehicles having a railgun on it and that is about all I can remember. Been searching for a while and can't seem to remember what it was. My dad was always the one that rented it but he can't remember what it's called either. I would really like to get my hands on a copy of it so we can play a game but I just can't remember it. No chance this will be seen now, but my dad had a baby with a woman in Italy during World War II. No idea her name, the baby's name or the city he was in when it happened. She mailed a letter to him when he got back to America which was ripped up by his first wife. So somewhere in Italy is my half sister. I've tried Ancestry and various forums. There's a SNL skit of Anna Gaster, I think, and Will Ferrell where she asks him to help her get off the phone and he ends up screaming at her and threatening her in the background. Absolutely hilarious but I've only seen it once. There used to be a video clip with a puppet character called Scratchy Seal. He runs around this dock in San Francisco going no, I'm a seal with his butt crack sealed shut. I can find tons of links about Scratchy Seal, but I can never find this video. This one episode of Cheaters where the host team and the cheater's wife run up on the suspect. Wife yelling Nathan. Nathan as the suspect runs away. During the recap, the suspect appears with what looks like a fake Rasta beanie dreadlocks combo and sunglasses on. He explains he ran because he thought it was a drug bust, but remembered he didn't do drugs. Please help me find my beloved Nathan. I have been searching for a book that I used to read in the library when I was a kid. About 30 years ago. It was a large, quite thick hardcovered picture book about a man who carried a burden on his back. The pictures showed him carrying a massive mound on his back which was strapped to him, like a big round rock or something wrapped in a grey or brown fabric. I never knew what it meant when I was a kid, and of course I know now the thing he was carried was just a physical representation for an actual burden. It was quite a dark themed book but I don't really remember the actual storyline. Any help would be awesome. Okay, please help. I can remember a cartoon film from my childhood but no one else seems to. Basically what I remember is a fairy kingdom being threatened by a tree cutting company because they want to destroy the fairies' forest to get to oil underneath it. If I remember correctly the oil is seemingly a monster and it sings a few songs. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.